Welcome back, traders and investors. We have Bill Corcoran on the line with us. He is the CEO of BetterTrades. Bill, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing today?
Okay, so Bill, you are the CEO of a stock market education company. Tell us how you got your start.
I actually started with the company as a student, Brianna. Believe it or not, I saw an infomercial, and it was one of these things you see, on a Sunday morning. Checked it out, went to a 2-day free workshop, liked what I saw, had no background in the financial markets. I was actually a former police officer. I was running my own business at the time and had an interest in the market, so I went and checked it out. Long story short, I got started with the company, started learning to trade the options market, the equity options market, and loved it. Had a lot of fun with it, had some success with it, obviously had some challenges, and wanted to learn more. So I actually came to work for the company as a marketing rep. Moved up through the company, and over the years just kept learning, kept growing, learned a lot with the company, loved the way the company treated me as a student, loved the way the company treated the student body. The education was solid, it was real, it worked, and continued to move up with the company. And in January, became the CEO. I actually have been a speaker and educator with the company for 3 years. But just became the CEO of the company and really now have the opportunity to bring that student perspective, if you will, to the role of CEO, and that's guiding all of our decisions and all of our education now, much of a student-centric company, and really just trying to reach out there and give people the opportunity to learn about trading in the stock and options markets.
So you really actually ate your own dog food for the company. You were a student, and now you come with the student's perspective.
I do, and I love that. Ate my own dog food. That's going to show up again. A product of the product, right? I literally started out as a student and continued to work at it and became the CEO of the company. It's been a great blessing, an awesome team to work with, and a great group of students. In fact, teaching an event live in Indianapolis right now, and Monday, Tuesday, we were on the floor of the Chicago Board of Options Exchange and teaching down there. So just a great opportunity to meet people and get out there and teach people, give people an opportunity and exposure to the markets.
How does being a former student kind of help you be the teacher now?
Oh, it's huge. As somebody who came in with no background in the market, you really, have the perspective of somebody who is the real retail trader, if you will, somebody who's coming in with no real experience, but was frustrated with brokers and financial advisors and wanted to take control. I've walked that walk, right? I felt that pain, and everybody who trades knows that trading in the market is a huge mental game. There's so many aspects to it that we have to master the skill set, but also the mindset. And that's tough to do if you're coming from, a non-financial background. If you're a teacher, a police officer, a firefighter, an executive in a company, you don't have that background in the financial markets. And the markets can really beat somebody like that up if they don't have the support and the education behind them to help, absorb some of that and to get in the right mindset and to do the things that need to be done with research and education. So it really has given me the perspective of what it is a student needs in order to progress and grow from knowing nothing or next to nothing to being a very sophisticated options trader. We have, strategies that run the entire gamut for directional traders who are using options as a proxy for stock to, we have instructors who are teaching advanced, spread strategies where we might be trading iron condors and iron butterflies and whatnot on the index. So it's taking that student from knowing nothing to very advanced and having the experience as a student, having gone through that process that lets us lay out a path to that success that the student's looking for that's based on real experience that students have had.
What kind of trader are you, Bill?
I'm primarily a short-term directional swing trader in the options market. So I use in my own personal trading, weekly options a lot, equity options, and I also do a lot of longer-term structured trades. You heard me mention some of the iron condors. We'll also do some trades where we are doing, for example, synthetic longs and risk reversals to take advantage of the long side of this market in the rally that we've been in until, just recently here. So I am primarily a short-term swing trader in the options market. I also trade the Forex markets and the futures markets. In fact, I was watching your presentation just before this, and kind of interesting to see the rally here in the S&P futures that's been going on throughout the morning.
Do you teach both fundamental and technical analysis?
We do, and I've taught some fundamental analysis and value investing type strategies in the past, but primarily we teach short-term technical analysis. One of my biggest mentors in the company when I was a student, Mark A. Latimer, is a very, very excellent instructor in technical analysis, and that's where most of our focus is. The last interview you guys had, awesome discussion about the effect of some of the moving averages, the 50 moving average that we saw 2 days ago on Apple. Just a phenomenal gap fill play there on Apple off of that 50 moving average, and we were actually able to do that live over at the SIBO. And so, we teach the technical side of things primarily.
So tell us a little bit about what kind of technical indicators you use and what time frames you focus on.
So obviously, the moving averages are one of the biggest that we use, that I use in my own trading. And looking for chart patterns to confirm at a moving average is one of our favorite, opportunities, entry opportunities. So I'll use the moving averages that you'll see in all time frames, everything from a short-term time frame where we might be just looking at an intraday 5-minute chart, all the way out to our weekly charts and so forth. So one of the things that I teach and that I'm a real advocate of is of trading in multiple time frames. In other words, evaluating, doing your research across multiple time frames. So I might look at a 5-minute chart. I might look for confirmation in a 15 or a 60-minute chart. And then, of course, wanting to trade in the direction of the trend on the daily chart. And that's, I think, one of the key factors that most people miss in their even shorter-term trades, that they may jump into a short-term day trade, but they're swimming against the stream. And there's nothing worse than being the guy who's going to buy put options on a stock at exactly the point where everybody else is going to come in and go long the stock and take the stock price higher. So we want to be trading in the direction of the trend. And so we teach a lot of classes, online classes and whatnot, to help people get that idea of trading multiple time frames, using the moving averages for key entry points, using them to establish stops for your exit points on longer-term trending trades. So the moving averages are really kind of the staple technical indicator that we'll use. As option traders, we obviously are very interested in volatility, so the Bollinger Bands are a huge tool for us and actually give a lot of indicators that I think people miss using other technical analysis techniques. The Bollinger Bands allow us to spot exit opportunities, Bollinger Band tops and bottoms and whatnot, that we will focus on using those tools. So I would say those are my two biggest, is the moving averages and Bollinger Bands. Obviously, price and volume are the key to any kind of technical analysis. So price, volume, moving averages, and Bollinger Bands would be the indicators that I use and that we teach the most of in our classes, our live events, and our online events.
I think when you were mentioning moving averages, I heard you say stops. Do you use stops and exact targets?
We do, and it's kind of interesting because you'll see a lot of different points of view out there, right? There's always two sides to the trade. And we have a lot of instructors at BetterTrades. We have, one of the powerful things that we have is the ability to bring in a student and pair them up with an instructor who kind of fits their trading style. So we have instructors who will teach, you've got to know an exact entry with an exact stop and a well-planned exit on the upside. We have other instructors who will literally set up a trade and be in a long-term trending trade with nothing more than a stop, and you're just continually managing the trade. I like to call it managing it from the bottom side of the trade instead of trying to get out at the top side, because we've all been in those trades that, man, I wish I would have stayed short the euro here as it's continued to go down, right? We've all gotten out of trades too soon. So it's kind of interesting. You look, there's the one school of thought that says you might get in at $2 and get out at $4 and be happy with what you made there and have a 30-cent stop. There's another school of thought, though, that the long-term trending trades is where the big money is, and that's been our experience. We do some things with synthetic long type trades where you are duplicating being long the stock without actually putting the money out to do so, using the options market, getting the dollar for dollar move that you would on a stock, and literally just managing with a stop that, for example, might be below the 10 moving average or the 20 moving average on a daily chart, and staying with that as the stock continues to trend higher. This is the kind of stuff that we teach and focus on when we do our live classes. We actually have one instructor who teaches trend trading, and that's, again, Marquet Latimer, and she teaches that in her classes on the website, the live classes that we do there. So, there's not one answer for every market, right? You might be trading the E-minis right now and seeing this top that's forming right here, and already be out, having caught that swing bottom that occurred about 30 minutes ago. So it's different for the different trading styles, and it's nice to have a group of mentors at BetterTrades that can take a person who might be very structured and want that entry at one price and then exit at another, where other people might be more interested in the longer-term trends and just flowing with the stock and keeping a stop below a moving average.
We have Bill Corcoran on the line. He is the CEO of BetterTrades. Remember, if you have any questions for Bill, just drop them in the chat and we'll ask them for you. Bill, I've heard you talk about options markets. I know you mentioned FOREX. What markets do you trade?
So I'm primarily an options trader, Brianna. I trade primarily equity options. I do some trading on the indexes with options as well, but I'm primarily a short-term options trader. In addition to that, I am also very active in the Forex markets. You heard me mention, being short the euro on this ride down has been phenomenal. And we just recently at BetterTrades started teaching Forex trading. And I also do some futures trading, primarily as hedges against positions that I might take in the market. It's nice to have and use the futures market as kind of a portfolio-wide hedge, if you will, against exposure that you might have if you're, exposed net long to the market. It's nice to have maybe some short E-mini futures in there to protect yourself there. So, I trade a lot of different markets, but primarily my bread and butter is in what I learned at BetterTrades when I first started, and that was the equity options.
So we are a pre-market show, and I have to know, what do you look for before the market opens?
So probably my favorite trade right at the open is going to be a gap against a trend. So if I can find stocks, and one of the things that I will scan for and that we teach on a regular basis, I actually teach a morning lab every single morning. And I've got, up to several hundred students in there with me watching us trade the options market. Now, we trade that in an unfunded account for teaching purposes, but we will go in and look for stocks that have gapped against a trend. So just say, for example, you get a nice bullish trend in a stock like Apple, and news in the markets brings Apple down a couple of dollars. That is the kind of stock that we look for to trade the gap fill using options for low-cost leverage. Now, obviously, you've got some slippage, and you've got to understand the option pricing in order to best utilize that. But that is one of my favorite things to do early in the morning, is to look for opportunities. This morning we're going to have, based on what we're seeing in the futures market right now, a pretty strong open to the upside. And I was listening earlier to y'all talking, and one of the commentators was talking about actually fading this rally. And so that's exactly the kind of thing that I like to look for, is a market open like today. We're going to have a strong open, but things have been pretty bearish, and you've still got the S&P below some critical moving averages. The trend's starting to weaken a little bit. Some of the ADX indicators are showing a little bit of weakness on the S&P. So I would look to fade this rally by finding stocks that are going to give us a nice gap to the upside and begin to break down with a very tight stop on the other side of that. And if it works out, those can be very powerful trades where you're making a nice chunk of money in just a short amount of time and literally can walk away from the market for the rest of the day if you want to.
What else is on your radar for today? I know Lululemon had earnings. They're moving. It looks like Office Depot's moving a little bit on this potential merger with Staples. What are you looking at for today?
I tend to stay focused on a core group of stocks that I really want to get my feel for, right? So I'll look at uh, almost 5 or 6 stocks. Kind of my range of control there when I first start out the morning is going to be the stocks that create for me as an options trader the kind of volatility and the kind of movement that I need for short term trades. So I tend to stay fairly focused on a core group of stocks. News driven stocks, you mentioned Lulu. Now, post earnings plays are phenomenal in the options market, especially this close to the weekly expiration. So we might go in and, just as an example, sell puts, either in the form of a spread or a naked put, on a stock like Lulu because of the volatility collapse that's going to occur very quickly first thing in the morning. So the news-driven stocks, earnings plays, post-earnings plays and stuff, we will set those up. But I primarily follow 5 or 6 stocks and just keep my eye on those. And that comes from my experience in the Forex markets where, you're really only watching a handful of pairs and not having to watch 30,000 stocks to kind of, find those opportunities.
Can you tell us what 5 or 6 stocks you're watching right now?
Obviously, I look for the momentum stocks. So I look at stocks that give us a nice average true range relative to the price of the stock. In other words, a high percentage of movement every day relative to the price of stock. And so stocks that kind of fit into that category would be stocks like your Apples, your Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. More volatile stocks that can create some big movement also would include things like Netflix and Tesla. Google, the Google series of options is another great one to watch. And it's kind of funny because people, I think, have a misconception about, options on these kinds of stocks. I mean, you look at Priceline. Priceline is one that I watch almost religiously late in the week just because the options time decay that has occurred during the week brings the price of those options down and brings the mix of intrinsic value up so much that I can purchase options on Thursday and Friday on very, very expensive stocks, but I'm not spending in most cases more than the difference between the strike prices here because I can buy an option with high intrinsic value, one strike in the money. And that's starting to get a little bit technical. Long story short, I can literally trade Priceline on expiration day for short-term day trades and get into that for maybe $5 or $6 a share. So I'm watching those kinds of stocks. Obviously, Apple, the Amazons, Google, Baidu's on my list today. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters is almost always on the list. And I'll stay focused to that group of 5 or 6 stocks that I can put those charts up and I can really focus on what's going on and spot those technical entry points based off of, again, that idea of looking at multiple time frames, a 5-minute chart, a 15-minute chart, and then, of course, the daily chart.
We've had Bill Corcoran on the line. He is the CEO of Better Trades. Bill, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. We'll have to bring you back on the show after the new year.
Absolutely, Brianna. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate it. You all enjoy yourselves. Have a great trading day.
Thanks, Bill.